Hello, everyone. Good morning. You're very welcome to our sign language class this morning. My name is Anthony. I have an interpreter with me on screen today as well. So you're all very welcome. It's such a beautiful day. Hopefully, the weather stays lovely and dry. It's been really nice for the last 2 weeks here. It's been absolutely amazing. So hopefully, it continues. So today I'm having to use my phone for some reason. The camera on my laptop's not working, so hopefully everyone can see me clearly enough. It is just important that you can see me properly on your screen. So you'll see that I have a poster behind me, and I just want to explain a little bit about referencing and pointing in British Sign Language and the importance of referencing. I'll also explain a little bit about placement and how that's so important in our language as well. So I'll give you a little bit of a synopsis on that. So you're very welcome. Welcome, Irene. Welcome, Joan. Lovely to have you back to our session. And Jill as well. Good to see you all joining again this morning. Anyone who's joining us for the first time, you're extremely welcome as well. So first of all, we're going to do a recap on the alphabet. And if it's your first time, obviously this will be new to you, but for everyone else, it's a recap. So also, when I finger spell, then at the end, we'll do a little test, see if you can read back my finger spelling. I'll have 10 finger spelling activities for you to try and read back. So first of all, we'll go through the alphabet together. So if you're not aware, these are your 5 vowels. So A, E, I, O, and U. Those are your 5 vowels on your 5 fingertips. So A, E, I, O, U. Okay? Now I'm going to go through A to Z. So if you want to follow along, you can. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Brilliant. And Kellyanne, you're very welcome today too. Thank you for joining. So I'm going to do this again, A to Z, but we'll not have a voiceover from the interpreter. So see if you can follow along. Well done. Now, this time I'm going to fingerspell the alphabet really quickly, again with no voiceover. See if you can keep up with me. Wow, well done. That was fast, wasn't it? Okay, so are you ready for the test? I will fingerspell 10 names and I want you to make a list 1 to 10 if you have a pen and paper, brilliant. Or you can actually just use your phone and just type and also type them in the chat box as well so that I can see whether you're understanding me. Okay, if you're ready, I will fingerspell the word and then repeat it once. Okay, so here's number 1. And a repeat of number 1. And number 2. Number 2 again. Number 3. And number 3 again. Number 4. And number 4 repeated. Number 5. Number 5 again. I think maybe I've frozen on some of your screens. Hopefully you can see me okay. I'm going to repeat number 3 here because I think some people are not seeing me. So this is number 3 again if you missed it. And number 3 again. And I'm going to repeat number 4 for you as well. So this is still number 4. Number 5. And 5 again. Number 6 coming up. And number 6 again. And number 7. Number 7 again. Number 8. And a repeat of number 8. Number 9. Number 9 repeated. And last one, number 10. And one more time for number 10. Okay, so if you're ready for the answers, we'll go through them. So number 1, yes, most of you got that right. That was Amy. Well done. Number 2, right again. That was Mary. Number 3. Some of you got that right. Some of you, I think, maybe missed that one. Not sure if anyone got that actually. Okay, so let me repeat number 3 for you. Maybe this was because it froze. I'm not sure. So this one was, that's number 3 repeated for you. Let me do it again one more time and see if you can get that. So that, what do you think that is? Anyone have any guesses? Want to put it in the chat box? No, it wasn't Joan. Some of you, yeah, it was John, John, John. So I think someone has got it right now. So you see the sign for H sometimes can be a little bit confusing in the middle of a name. So John. Well done if you got that. And number 4. Number 4 was Ben. Good, you got that right. Number 5, right again. That was Jane. Number 6 was Paula. And number 7, right again. I think I'm seeing myself freezing on my screen, so hopefully you're still seeing me. So number 7 was Patrick. Number 8, most of you got that one. That was Charlie. Well done. And number 9, right again, that was Kate. Joan, I'm just laughing at your comment here. And number 10, I don't think anyone got number 10. It was a longer name. Yeah, let's see if we can do it. I'm gonna repeat it for you one more time and see if you can read it back this time. Anyone get it? Okay, I'll do it one more time. What do you think? Can anyone have a guess at it? Type it in the chat box if you think you know it. I know that was quite a long one and quite difficult. What do you think? Shall I do it one more time? Okay, someone's got it. Sue, well done to you. You managed to get it. A few others, I think, as well. Jill, you're close. Yes, you got it. Well done. It was Christina with a K, Christina. Okay, brilliant. Well done, everyone. Okay, so now we'll move on to the next part of our session. As I said before, I was going to explain why we point in British Sign Language. So in our culture, deaf culture, it's quite different from hearing culture. For example, in deaf culture, we must point to things and reference what we're talking about. So, for example, if I'm talking about myself, I will point to me. and I'll point to you if I'm talking about you, or he, or she, and they. So that references the person who you're referring to. It's very important to do that. In your culture and hearing culture, and when I'm pointing to you, some people don't like that sort of finger pointing at them. They feel it's a little bit rude, but honestly, it's just the difference in our two cultures. It's so important. We need to reference who we're talking about so we understand who the person or the object is that we're referring to. So the word referencing or referent is obviously, if I'm talking about, say, my brother, I'm going to point to a space where my brother might be. So then I'll point to that space and then I will give his name. In English, you would say, my brother's name is, but we point. So it's an imaginary space. So it's visual, so we can see where the person might be. So that's why we point and then give the name. So imagine I have three sisters. Pretend I have three sisters. So if someone asks me, what are your sisters' names? And I've got three sisters, then how am I going to make it visual? So I don't say my first sister is called, my second sister is called, and my third sister is called. We don't do that. That's not how the language works. So I'll show you how we sign that. My sister, and then pointing to a space, her name is Amy. Then I'm pointing to another space. Her name is Emma. And another space, her name is Kate. So Amy's there, Emma's in the middle, and Kate is over this side. So you've got three people in imaginary spaces. So that's setting up your placement of your three people. So hopefully that makes sense. That's how we do it visually. So then when I'm talking about Amy, perhaps I'm describing her, she's maybe tall, she's thin. I'm pointing to where I've set her up initially. She's got blue eyes. Emma, who I've set up in the middle. So I'm pointing to her. She's shorter. She has got long hair, long curly hair, and her eyes are green. And then Kate, who I've set up on the other side, on my right, she's tall, she's very slim, she's beautiful, she's pretty, and her hair is long and blonde and curly, and her eyes are blue and green. So she's got one blue eye and one green eye. That's actually my daughter. She has one blue eye and one green eye. So you can see why pointing is so important. This is setting up our placement and then referring to those objects or people that we've placed in certain positions. So Amy is set over to my left. So she's there. Emma, I've set her up to be in the middle. So I'm going to point to her and reference her. Kate is then to my right. So I'm going to point to her when I'm talking about her. If you don't understand what I'm explaining, please just type it in the chat box if you want me to repeat anything. Usually when I'm teaching a class, face-to-face class, there are a few people who maybe don't get it first time, and that's fine. I'm really happy to explain it. Online is very difficult, so I can't see if you're picking up or if you understand what I'm actually saying. So please, if you want me to repeat anything, just type it in the chat box. Make sure that you understand what I'm signing. So if I have two brothers, for example, and I want to talk about my brothers, I'm going to point to one space. My brother over here, his name is Rob. Then I'm pointing to the other space over here for the other brother, and his name is Mark. Rob, who's over here, is age 25. Mark, who's over this side, is aged 35. I'm signing Northern Ireland signs this morning. You're probably wondering why the numbers are different. So I will show you the English signs a little bit later, and the Scottish and Welsh signs that you use probably more in your areas. So my brother, his name is Rob, and this brother is called Mark. Rob, so that's the English sign for age, 25. And Mark is aged 35. Okay? So you'll see that I've set up two brothers, one to my left and one to my right. I have 3 children. My first son over here is called Patrick. My second son, who I'm placing in the center, is called Charlie. And my daughter is called Kate. Patrick is tall, thin, and his hair is short and straight and blonde. His eyes are blue and he has freckles. He's handsome. And he is aged 8. He loves playing tennis. Charlie is quite tall. Not very tall, but quite tall. He's thin. His hair is short and wavy, a little bit curly, and really blonde. His eyes are blue. He has a few freckles too. And he's very tanned. His skin is lovely and brown. He loves football. Kate, my daughter, she's a little bit smaller because she's only just 4. She's only 4. Her hair is quite, not very long, but mid-length, really curly, really blonde. And she hasn't had her hair cut since she was a baby, ever. And she's 4.5. It's been quite slow to grow because it's curly. Her eyes are blue and green. She's beautiful. Really pretty. Charlie's very handsome. Okay, so you can understand how I'm describing my 3 children, pointing to where I've set them up, and that makes everything so much easier to understand which one we're talking about. So much more visual. So you might want to say, point to Patrick again, or Patrick and Charlie. They're very close as brothers, but sometimes they do fight. Yeah, boys, they fight sometimes. Patrick and Kate, they're very close too. Patrick always looks after Kate. Charlie and Kate, they're close as well in their own way. They're both close and they play well together. Actually, the three of them are all very close. But sometimes they fight too, so they're not all the time. You know what brothers and sisters are like. That's just the sibling relationship. Okay. If you have four children, perhaps, or four people you want to talk about, you can use your four fingers like this. So you can point to the first one, give the name, second one, spell their name, third one, give their name, and the fourth one. So you can reference it like this. And then go back to talk about the first one, what age they are, describe them, their hobbies, what school they go to, what they work at, and then the second one. So you can do it like that as well. I think because if there are more than three, it's very difficult. There's too many people to set up four people in the imaginary space. So we can do that with three people, set them up one to the left, one to the right, and one in the middle. But any more than that, it's easier to use your fingers. And if they're five, again, just use point to your thumb for the first one, and then the youngest one will be the little finger. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, please just type them in the chat box. If there's anything you don't understand or you want to clarify. So last week, I went to Edinburgh, um, and I went to a conference in Edinburgh. My friend actually was doing a PhD. She is profoundly deaf. And so we went to Edinburgh to support her. She's from Belfast and she's based in Belfast at the minute. So we went to the conference. It was a deaf team who were presenting and mostly deaf people who were there. Um, and so she was talking about her research and her study, which was absolutely amazing, an incredible thing to hear about. She was talking about deaf people moving all over the world as a result of war and how families are torn apart, and also about a deaf village. So she was talking about different examples of deaf villages throughout the world. And in Bali, there is a deaf village. So she talked about that. She talked about war-torn regions throughout Africa. She talked about Sudan and the troubles that have been happening there, and Somalia. And they're obviously very war-torn regions as well, and how deaf people then had to move as a result, become refugees, live in camps, and just how deaf people actually coped as refugees in those camps. It was really interesting to hear those real life experiences. She also talked about language, about linguistics. So anyone got any questions? No one's typing anything in the chat box. Any questions? So if not, then I think we'll draw to a close today. Hopefully you understood my information about why we point and reference. Remember, deaf people and in our culture, it's very important to point to the object, to if it's a light or if it's a sun or if it's whatever you're talking about. You're pointing to the object. If it's a TV, for example, you want to talk about something you've watched, or a man, you're pointing to that person, or you're pointing to a lady over there, or you're talking about something that's happening upstairs or downstairs. Again, it's so important to point. So I'm based in Belfast. So if you wanted to talk about, for example, if I'm going to talk about someone based in London, I'm going to point to London, which is over in the distance. It's the imaginary space over there. It's not here. So, for example, if I wanted to say my sister lives in London, I'm going to point over there somewhere. So I'm going to point to here in Belfast because I live here. So this is where I am, this is where I'm based. So it's visual. You can see the importance of pointing. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense to everyone and you'll understand why we reference and we set up placement of objects and people. Makes it so much clearer. It's really good that if you understand that, and a person who's never seen sign language before, or you're with someone and you meet a deaf person on the street or in the park or in church or in a sports club or wherever in the shop, um, you'll hopefully you'll be able to understand why that person points so much because it's part of the language and part of the culture and it is different. And then hopefully with your understanding, you can help to explain to others why deaf people do that. Okay, so I'm not going to keep you too much longer. It's a beautiful day, so let's just everybody go outside and enjoy the weather if you can, and we'll wrap the session up for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for giving up your time. Thank you to the Royal Voluntary Service for giving me the opportunity to teach sign language and for everyone over the UK to be able to access it. And thanks again to the interpreter. Have a lovely weekend, everyone, and I'll see you all for the next session. Bye.